think we're on two. We're just making sure, this is that moment of awkward pause at the beginning of every Facebook Live broadcast to make sure that we're connected. But it looks like we are. So welcome, everyone. I'm Mark Manella.
Stephen Balance.
And this is More Than Money Ministries, and we're glad you're with us. Got something very interesting. Did you know that 20% of Americans leave thousands of dollars every year, miss thousands of dollars of money that could be in their pocket, according to the IRS?
Oh, I don't like that at all.
From missed tax credits.
Really?
And you could be one of those people. But don't fret. Stay with us, because we got an expert coming on to help us understand this and how maybe you can start claiming that extra moolah and put it back in your pocket.
I want to hear about that.
We all do. We all do. There's really no breaking news outside of the Department of Labor has postponed all the new rules coming in for securities and investments and oversight for a few months. So most people don't even know about that or care about that. It affects more professionals than it does individuals.
Okay.
It'll eventually affect individuals. That's about the only thing I have on breaking news for the top of the hour here. So
I think I have a little something. Not really breaking news, but just a little info for the people watching. Remember, in the fall, we have something big coming. We can't tell you exactly what it is yet until we get a date and a venue, and we're going to be working on that.
I know we've been teasing that for a while.
But if you have any interest in finances, any interest in investments whatsoever, this big event, completely free to the public. We'll be there, so that's a bonus.
Plus, we already have lined up some incredible speakers.
Yeah, fantastic speakers.
National speakers that'll be there with us. It'll be a half-day event. You're gonna want to be involved in it. And on top of that, for all those people who follow us and watch our Facebook Live, that get our newsletters, that kind of stuff, you're gonna hear about how you sign up in advance, and in doing so, you actually get a goodie bag. Which is going to be really interesting. Yeah, you'll learn more as we go down the road. But with that said, let's get on to today's topic. One that everybody loves and gets excited about. One that is just the most neatest, joyful thing in the world, and that's tax time.
Yay!
And I call it tax time with Barry Pannett, CPA, our expert.
Here's Barry.
Welcome to the show, Barry.
Hey, good to be here.
Good to see you.
We're usually on the radio.
Yeah, I know. We stopped doing that because you know what? A lot of people don't listen to radio anymore.
I think that's probably true.
Yeah, so we're
I listen to the classicals on the radio.
We're classical. We're classy. No, maybe not.
Well, whatever.
All right. Well, we have Barry here because he's a CPA. He's a tax expert, and there's so many things happening in the world with taxes that we wanted to have his expertise here to share with you. And I'd like to start off by just sharing or asking you, Barry, what's going on with the tax codes? It seems kind of like everybody's getting more frustrated and anxiety over it. Why?
Well, it's getting more and more complicated all the time. It's getting more complicated for the taxpayers. It's getting more complicated for the CPAs. This year we have the burden of filling out yet another form, an 8867, where we actually have to interrogate, and I mean it, interrogate the taxpayers if they have children, and then we have to document that they do have children by some kind of a record. So it applies to child tax credit.
So they can get their credits?
If we don't answer the 8867, we cannot get that return through our software.
It's just getting crazy, isn't it? I mean, the average person trying to file their taxes, the anxiety levels through the air.
I'd like to go back to the years when we had a form to fill out, and you just, this is before computers, and it was simple. You just put it on a form, and you didn't have to deal with all the technology of the computers and everything else. But it's just amazing how complicated it is.
Yeah, it's so to the point to where I can never recommend to any clients from my financial planning business to do their own taxes anymore. I won't do that just because of things like we started off the show with the idea that the IRS says 20% of Americans are leaving tax credits that equate to thousands of dollars that could be in their pocket, are missing them on their tax returns. Missing a couple $1,000s because you don't want to pay somebody $100 to $300 to do your taxes is really sad.
Yeah, it's if a person maybe has a W-2 and that's it, that's okay, but it's always interesting to hear the real life stories. And I had a lady in the office a couple of days ago, and she had a complicated situation for 2016, so she wanted to get me involved, and So she came in the office, and I found immediately for the past 3 years she had not been taking the American Opportunity Tax Credit, which was worth $2,500 each year
The
for those
American
75
Opportunity Tax
It's an
Credit.
educational credit.
Okay.
And so
Only the educated get it?
that's true. That is true. Only educated get it.
Okay.
But anyway, we have to hurriedly file an amended return for 2014. That's to be filed by April. Well, filing date this year is April 18th because 15th falls on a Saturday, and then we don't file taxes on Sunday, and then the people, I believe, in Washington D.C. are taking a holiday on Monday, the 17th. So this year you have 3 extra days to get this done, which kind of leads us into extensions maybe. But anyway, back to the lady, she missed $7,500 in credits because she was doing her own return, wanting to save, maybe $200 or $300 or whatever.
Didn't realize that credit was even there.
No, in fact, she would have missed it for 16 also.
But the IRS will tell her about it, right?
No, the IRS will tell you if you're missing income. We just had to talk about that. Every 1099 and every W-2, they do match now. And if you're missing some
On your filing,
if
if you're showing less than what's reported by your employers.
We've had that happen. We had a man one time. His wife had died, and he'd not been involved, and he got 1099s, about $75,000 on them, and he got a bill for $25,000.
Wow.
But the good news to the story is they didn't put the costs against those, so he had costs exceeding the $75,000, so he didn't really owe the $20,000. But we talked about extensions a little bit. Remember that? We were to discuss extensions?
Yeah, I did want to talk about extensions because oftentimes you do my taxes and we file extensions.
Not this year.
Not this year. Yeah, this year went real smooth.
Yeah, it did.
Thank you.
No, extensions. There are millions of people who file extensions.
But explain what an extension is.
Well, an extension is that they give you 6 months, which will be, I'm not sure.
The IRS.
I'm not sure they're going to October the 18th or the 15th. I'm not sure about that because April 18th. So I'm not sure about whether we. But I would think in terms of October the 15th, 6 months to file your returns. But with the federal, it's an extension to file a return, not an extension to pay. So with the federal, it's a 1% a month penalty and interest. It's like a half a percent penalty and 0.5% interest. But on the state, you've got to be very careful because their rate is 5% each month that you don't file that return. So if you're doing in Missouri, you better figure out as close as you can what you owe, because if you don't, you get it with a 5%.
Okay,
penalty.
so let me ask you this. Getting an extension doesn't cost you anything.
No.
Getting an extension to file your returns instead of filing it on the day and date, but you need to get a formal extension. You can't just say, well, I'm going to wait till October.
I think it's a Form 48.
You have to file
this extension form.
Right. Before tax day.
You have up till the 18th, but I wouldn't wait that long.
Right. So you have to file that, and that's asking them to say, can I wait to file my taxes because there's stuff that is still coming in, or there's things I need to research?
No. They're procrastinating.
Oh, because I'm procrastinating, I don't want to file it yet, and I don't think I'm getting anything back. But if you think you owe money, if you're going to owe money, you need to pay that before the 18th, even if you get an extension. Otherwise, you'll be penalized.
But there's a problem with
up to 25%.
There's a problem with that, Mark. A lot of people don't have money.
Well, right. I know that.
So
because
what do you do
know
then?
why they don't have money? Because they're over withholding in their taxes.
No, they're under withholding.
No, under withholding if they owe money. That's true. But because the government's taking so much of it, but let's not go there today. Let's try and keep this cheery.
You think that's possible?
Yeah, when it's coming about taxes, I don't think it's really possible.
Okay.
So we need to really consider that there are all sorts of complications and tricks to doing your taxes right.
Well,
unfortunately.
I don't know about tricks.
Well, I think it's tricks. I think the government's got it so confusing that we need to hire people.
No, you're
now.
correct there.
Yeah.
Confusing it is.
Yeah, and it could cost you, or it could be a loss of thousands of dollars that could be in your pocket if you don't do your taxes right. And that brings us to the one thing that is holdover from the last administration, and that's health insurance. What does health insurance have to do with taxes?
Well, that's a good question.
Yeah, but why is it?
Well, that's one of the flies in the ointment with among many others with the Affordable Care Act. And if you're in the marketplace where you use the marketplace to get your insurance coverage, then you have to you'll get a 1095, which you have to then give to your CPA if you're having a CPR account, or if you do it yourself. You have to file, I think the form's an 8812, I think that's right, that you have to fill out. And in this, and then the premium tax credit, I don't want to get too complicated, but basically it's a tax credit, but it's based on income. So if your income, when you got that insurance, it was based on whatever income you gave them. But if your income doubles and you've taken a premium tax credit, say for $2,000, I think it goes as high as $10,000,
Yep.
and your income goes sky high, you owe $10,000 because you've taken credit.
I had
So
a
there's another
client that happened
complication.
to. And actually what happened was he didn't have the money to pay the extra because he made more money and he had the tax credit, but he had to pay that back and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So what he did was he took a distribution from his Roth and then made a contribution
Mm-hmm.
back to it, you know, because he had the money. So he got a deduction which brought him down below the limit of where he had to pay for it. It was complicated.
Yes,
But anyway,
that's
they're and that's the problem. Everything is complicated when it comes to taxes these days. I'm not saying you can't do your own taxes, but you know, in the last couple of minutes we have here, what's your thoughts on individual doing their own taxes?
Well, you know, as I said earlier, if you have just a W, but even, you know, you really, and you don't have to go to a CPA necessarily. You know, the commercial tax people, they
For simple
Hewitt,
returns.
you know, yeah, for simple. I mean, I think you're really better off with them because I think from what I've seen, they will catch your earned income credits, they will catch your child credits, and I think overall they do a pretty good job for a wage earner who's maybe in the range of anywhere from 10,000 to say 60,000, which covers probably the biggest portion of the United States people, you know.
Okay.
And I think they, you know, they don't necessarily belong to a CPA. You know, we really, because of our overheads, we have to charge, you know, pretty
Sure.
high fees, I guess some people may think. But so we really are there for the more people who have a lot going on in the tax return. You know, maybe they have a lot of dividend income, or they have maybe rental property, and
The
maybe
complex ones you should do it in a
a
profession.
lot more complexity than even those kind of subjects. But that's so I think you know, for pretty much everybody, they're just better off to have the tax. You know, I mean, if a person, you know, wants to spend 20, 40 hours studying all this stuff, and then you can miss it because, as we said earlier, if you don't claim it, you're not going to get it.
There you go. The government's not going to come back and say
Right.
you missed this. That's right. Well, in the last bit of time we have here, what's the number one thing you'd want people to know about taxes? The biggest
Okay.
hint
Okay.
or whatever, you know,
All
help
right.
people.
The best thing you can do after you've done your return is review, and review. You know, go over that 2 or 3, even maybe 4 times. Just make yourself all right, so you don't get some letter. Might not be a nasty letter, but you don't really. You know, some people, it gives them a little
Yeah.
bit of a problem when they get a letter from the IRS.
Sure.
Most people
It
like-
scares me. I'll tell you what, tax time for many can be just a time of frustration and anxiety, even
I think
downright
it is.
depressing.
I think it is.
You know,
yeah.
and it can be depressing because you work hard. You and I work hard to make our living. We try to do everything right, and try to care for our families. You know, support ourselves, support our families, everybody we love. And then tax time comes, and a lot of us find that we owe Uncle Sam even more. They're asking for more. You know, the frustrations mount. You know, and it's just hard on us. It's hard because we start to realize our government has made taxes complicated and a full-time job for most people just to track the receipts, to keep find out what forms, to stay informed, you know, and to make it worse because of this entanglement of laws. And no offense here, but you know, we have to hire somebody to do it for us to make sure we're in compliance. You know, so it can be frustrating, it can be anxiety, it can even cause depression. But the good news is we have an awesome God. And these complicated, overbearing, tax oppressive codes didn't take him by surprise. He knew they were coming. In Jeremiah 29:11, he says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." You listen to that and you think, wow, God knows me. He created me. He has a plan for me. He created great works for me to walk in before he created the earth. I encourage you to stand tall, be joyful during this tax time. Let your light shine, because God knew all this was going to happen, and He's got a plan for you. God has a plan for your life, and it's a great plan, and you're part of His great plan. So don't let this depress you. Find an expert like Barry here. Find somebody who knows what they're doing, and trust them to guide you through this web of pickpocketing, of supporting our national interests.
That's fair.
There you go. And with that said, I want to bring Stephen back in here.
Always happy to be here.
Yeah.
Just want to let everyone know, please follow us, subscribe to the Facebook channel here, and we're on YouTube as well. We're dropping videos every week. We're actually hoping to drop more sometime soon. We're on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Instagram, just about everything imaginable. And stay tuned for that big announcement for this fall. It's going to be good.
It's going to be awesome. And with that said, if you're going to find somebody to help with your taxes, it wouldn't hurt if they loved God as much as you did, because then they'd realize, just like Barry does here, that life is
so much more
than money.
God bless everyone.
Okay.